Hi folks, Jack Spirico here with Meads of the Week, episode 2. And I think this is going to be a cool one because I got a lot to talk about. The first episode I showed you a whole bunch of meads I had working, and I talked about a mead that we made kind of in the pilot, I guess, of the Meads of the Week series, 3 Flowers Blend. And what I wanted to show you is I made that mead for you guys on the 26th of January. It's 7 days. This is that mead right now. It's done. I said this is the fastest finishing mead I've ever messed with, ever made. Now, it's not done as in it's ready to bottle and drink. It's done fermenting. It's fermented out. I tasted it. It actually, even though it's cloudy and there's a little bit of a yeasty character to it, it tastes pretty good. It tastes like it does when it's completely finished and clear. It's 7 days old. And I don't know if you guys can really tell, but it's starting to clear. To put it in perspective, this is a mead that was made 2 days ago. Now, they're not the exact same mead or the exact same honey, but I think you can see the difference already. Never seen a mead that finishes this fast. You got to try 3 Flowers Blend. Mead, this is 2.5 pounds of honey, a mix of Cuvée and Pasteur Blanc yeast, Fermax, 1 teaspoon of Fermax per gallon, and a 1/4 cup of 3 Flowers Blend, which is elder, chamomile, and heather flower. Mountain Rose herbs is where I get my herbs. You can get them wherever you get them. But I mean, don't overreact to the dead balloon. The balloon was like really weak when I brought it out, but I knocked it off and put a hole in it. But it's done. 7 days. I've got meads at 7 days that are still doing what this one is doing, which is bubbling nicely. And I can't really explain it. I've talked to quite a few different mead makers. I've even had some people call me out on it and say it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. It just works and it's repeatable. So I'm going to probably run this another week in the fermenter. I'll rack to a secondary and cold crash it after a week in the secondary. That's 21 days and we'll be cold crashing and we'll see how it turns out. But again, it tastes good enough to drink right now. Before I tell you about the other meads of the week, these are the 3 that I've made for this week's episode. Let's take a look at something we made in the past. This is actually a cider. I call this Dirty Arm Cider because, as my wife would tell you, she's sitting behind the camera watching me, probably going to be laughing at me here in a second. One night she heard me cursing in the bathroom in there where I keep my big fermenters, my 5-gallon fermenters, because it was leaking and about a half a gallon of it leaked out. And it's a big mouth bubbler with a spigot in the bottom, and it started leaking out of the spigot. And I stuck my arm right into the fermenter, pitched yeast and all, and tightened it up to stop it. But yeah, it came out pretty good. It's not too bad. It's been in the bottle for bottle conditioning about 2 weeks. It should be a nice carbonation. Yep, that'll do. I have not chilled it yet. But as you can see, my dirty arm didn't ruin the clarity or anything. It's a really nice, clear cider. Smells good. No infections or anything. And it's pretty good. I'll tell you the one mistake I made with this. I made this with dark brown sugar, and it's too much. If you back this off to like a light brown sugar, this would be great. All this is 5 gallons of apple juice, 2 pounds of light brown sugar instead of the dark brown sugar, and yeast. That's it. That's the whole thing. So give that one a try if you want a simple, quick cider with a little bit more character. And that's like whatever this stuff is, Treetop apple juice. And I would not complain about that, but I don't really know how to explain it. It's not infected with my dirty arm, even though that's what I'm calling it. It's got a bit of an over-the-top molasses character from the dark brown sugar. So I go with light brown sugar. All right, next up, let's take a look at this mead that I made 2 days ago. Remember I said I was going to make an orange mead using orange blossoms? That's sort of what this is. I have that over here. I just made it a couple minutes ago. But these are orange blossoms, and it's a little bit left. I used, in both of these batches, 6 tablespoons of them to infuse flavor. I also used orange blossom honey, which, to find it at a reasonable price, I went on Amazon and looked for different ones. This comes out to about $6 a pound. This is really good stuff. I only found one negative review about it. It was some idiot that was upset that it crystallized after 2 months. That's good job. That's the camera woman. I think she dropped a dog collar. Anyway, Did it crystallize after like 2 or 3 months in the cabinet? Well, honey will crystallize if it's natural, unfiltered, pure raw honey, which is what this is. This stuff's fantastic. It should make a great mead. It's called Dutch Gold, and I'll have a link in the show notes where you can find this on Amazon. The most affordable orange blossom honey I could find that was good orange blossom honey, because buying it in the store here is insane. It's like $12 for like 8 ounces. So there's a little resource for you. So what's in this one? Well, I said I was going to do it with some orange. The honey came. I hadn't gone out and got the stuff to make the orange mead yet with, and then the orange blossoms showed up in the mail, and I had made that great kind of take on Michael Jordan's summer shandy that I talked about. It had some leftover Meyer lemons. So I took 1 Meyer lemon, 6 tablespoons of the orange blossoms, and 2.5 pounds of the orange blossom honey, and 2 tablespoons of my patented Jack Spirko 3 Flowers blend, and 1 teaspoon of Fermax yeast nutrient. And it went the same way we always do it, and it's looking really good. It's only 2 days into it. Smells wonderful. We'll see how it goes. So that's that, and that's kind of like my bootleg thing of the week. Here was the one I said I wanted to make. Now you notice there's no airlock on it yet. It's still pretty warm. I literally just finished these 2 meads before we turned the camera on. This is the one I had planned. Pretty much the same recipe. So 6 tablespoons of orange blossoms. These are like $14 an ounce. So in 2 meads, I got $7 worth of orange blossom petals. I'm gonna make both of these meads again, sans the orange blossom petals, taste them side by side and say, is this worth $7 to 4 bottles of mead? And we'll find out whether that's the case or not. But it is interesting, and it's one of the great things about small batch that we can try stuff like this. Anyway, so it's the orange blossom petals, 6 tablespoons. It's 2 tablespoons of 3 Flowers blend, Fermax yeast nutrient, same yeast blend of Cuvée and Pasteur Blanc, and 1 large organic orange, zested, squeezed, and then the sections thrown inside. A lot of people wonder, well, why would you zest an orange if you're just going to go ahead and toss the whole thing in? Here's the deal. And I did that with the Meyer lemon as well. I kind of forgot that when I mentioned that one. It's surface area. Any chef that is good at making marinades would know that you take like your spices and stuff and throw them in like a blender and blend them up inside the marinade instead of just chopping them up, because the more surface area you get, the more flavor you infuse. So by taking the zest off using a zesting tool, it's like a little file, we get more surface area, we get more of that citrus contribution from the zest, which is really intense. A little bit of orange juice, 1 orange is not that much juice. Got that all in there, the orange blossoms, the 3 Flowers blend. This should be fantastic. We'll see how it comes out down the road. Now, everything we've done up till now is kind of you need some specialty ingredients. Orange blossom honey, the 3 Flowers blend, what have you. This has the 3 Flowers blend in it, but you could make this, and you would not have to use the 3 Flowers blend. And, you know, by the way, if you order 4 ounces each of it, throw it in a couple of mason jars, you'll have it for a long time to come. But this is an apple ginger mead. And I want to talk about a way that you can make your life a little bit easier. People want to know how many ounces of ginger or whatever. I simply cut my ginger into sticks about the size of the French fries that would be that long. To me, that's a ginger stick. So I used 8 of those in here. So when I make this in the future, I don't have to really get all, you know, kind of concerned about exactly how many ounces and shredding it and putting it on a scale or whatever. I'll just cut about 8 sticks of ginger per gallon, throw it in, and it's 2 organic Fuji apples. They go in, hot water on top of them to pasteurize them, about 160 degree water. Add the yeast, or add the honey, just like we always do. And this was done with supermarket Clover honey. So what I'm saying is, this is a supermarket mead. Other than the yeast, which you always need yeast to make your meads, there's nothing in here you can't go down to the supermarket and buy. I can't remember the brand of honey, but it's some like a store brand of honey, and that I got at Albertsons. And 2.5 pounds of that comes in a 2.5 pound jar, so you just dump it all in and you're good to go. So that's it for the apple ginger mead. Now what I'm going to do with this, when this stops its heavy fermentation and I rack it to its secondary, to pull a little more appley goodness in it, I'll top the secondary up with just store-bought apple juice. Probably be about 8 ounces of apple juice. That'll be the end of that. So those are the meads that we've done this week. I do have one more thing to share with you before we wrap up. I found a company called Moonlight Eatery. I heard a podcast that the owner was on, and they have a Mead of the Month Club, or actually Mead of the Every Other Month Club, 3 bottles of mead, And they sent me my 3 bottles of mead. There was one called Indulge. That was fantastic. It was made with cinnamon and vanilla. This is called Meadery, whatever the heck that is. Anyway, it's 25% honey and 75% black currant juice. And I've got a little bit left, and I figured I would do a little tasting and give you my thoughts on this company and their Mead of the Month or every other month program. This actually tastes like a really fruity, upfront, forward Zinfandel more than anything else. Like if you'd never had a mead and you said, well, what does a current mead taste like? And you drank a real fruit bomb Zinfandel wine, I'd say that's what this tastes like. Truthfully, as a mead drinker, if I want to drink a mead, this is backwards. This should probably be 25% black currant and 75% honey. I think that would come out a lot better. And because it's described that way, and because of the way this tastes, this is what I think the maker did. And if you're the guy that makes this and you're watching this video, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think that they made a currant wine and a just standard, everyday, honey-only, traditional mead, and then they blended it at 25-75. And they ended up with this. This is, don't take this wrong, this is not bad. This is good. That's why the bottle is almost empty, and I had to stop myself from finishing it last night so I could talk about it on the air with you guys today. So I like it, but it tastes like a Zinfandel. If I want a Zinfandel, I'm going to have a Zinfandel. There's not enough honey character in this, and I don't mean that does not mean it's not sweet enough, because I don't like stuff that's overly sweet. I like dry, off-dry, semi-sweets pushing it for me. But it has that, like, oh, this is like if I just put this down in front of you, and you were eating a steak, you'd think, well, that's kind of a Zin, but it's lacking tannin. That's what it tastes like. I would go and flip this, if I was going to clone this, flip this around and do 25% black currant. Now, last thing on this. This company's going to probably lose my business. And I'll tell you why. I like their meads. I may keep it another month or two just for ideas on how to make my own. But you see this bottle? This is not a bottle. This is called a half bottle. I paid like $60 for 3 bottles, and I was that's like $20 a bottle. But okay, fine, it's a small business, I'll do it. And then this shows up. Now it's my fault. I didn't read I'm sure it was in there. I didn't read it. But if you're going to go into commercial mead making and you're going to come up with sending bottles of meads to people, and you're going to send them 3 meads and they're going to wait 60 days before they get the next mead from you, and you're going to send them this, wrong answer. I'm sorry. I know you have to make a profit. I'd rather you jack the price up 20 more bucks and send me 3 real bottles. And if you can't make a profit at that, you're doing something wrong with your production. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But I'm not putting them down. If they're in a store near you, you might want to try some of their stuff. And Indulge was awesome. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Meads of the Week. And if you like this, and you just found our channel or just found this video, if you like making meads, you probably like doing other cool stuff. I run a podcast called the Survival Podcast. We have over 150,000 listeners. We talk about everything. We don't just talk about making meads, though we do that quite a bit. We talk about everything with self-sufficiency, self-reliance, independence, and liberty. And we do 5 shows a week. It's available for download on iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. You can find us at thesurvivalpodcast.com, or to make your life easier, tspc.co.